Madam Speaker, as the economy grows, Fijian families do well, and as Fijian families earn more dream of one day owning their own homes. A home isn't only a structure that provides shelter. It's not only a space to share with your families, but it is an asset, and one that can increase in value. And with this budget, we're doing far more to realize the dreams of those thousands of Fijian families to own their own homes and accelerate the access to the mainstream financial sector. This year, we're announcing the formulation of a new ministry, the Ministry of Housing and Community Development, bringing all the functions of the Department of Housing and Rural Housing Unit from Rural and Maritime Development, along with the various housing and community services previously offered by the Ministry of Lands and the Ministry of Local Government, under one roof. The mandate of this new ministry is simple: increase the home ownership rate to meet the growing demand in Fiji for quality and reasonable housing at affordable prices. The landmark policies in housing launched by this government will continue, and many are becoming more impactful. We are continuing our campaign to regularize Fijians living in informal settlements, and we're improving basic infrastructure in informal settlements at the city, town and community level to bring more security of tenure. We've also put $15 million towards the First Homeowners Grant, formerly the First Home Buyers Grant, and made the program more generous for Fijian families. Now, first-time buyers with an annual income of under $50,000 will receive $15,000 towards the construction or $10,000 towards the purchase of their first homes. Families who make between $50,000 a year and $100,000 a year now also qualify for this grant assistance, with $10,000 provided for constructing a new home or $5,000 for the purchase of the first home. Under this scheme, grant payments for the purchase of strata titles developed and approved by entities such as Housing Authority will be considered at the same rates as the construction of a home. So they'll be eligible. Even though they may buy a strata title from Housing Authority, they'll be able to get $10,000. We're also introducing a new grant, Madam Speaker, the First Landowners Grant, to help more Fijian families purchase or lease land. Households who make less than $50,000 will be granted $10,000 towards the purchase or lease of land, which eventually can be the site on which they construct a new home of their own. Many people, for example, have leasing arrangements in place. The landowning units have agreed, TLTB has agreed, but they cannot make the purchase price of the lease. So it's $10,000 or that amount. For both the First Homeowners Grant and the First Landowners Grant, the home or the land must be owned by the household for 5 years, or else the grant must be repaid. Madam Speaker, last year we opened up a new mechanism that allowed commercial banks to take out concessional finance to the Reserve Bank of Fiji at a rate of 1%, and then lend that money to first home buyers at a maximum of 5% interest. This year, Madam Speaker, we're going even further by subsidizing an additional 1% on the interest rates from commercial banks to first-time home buyers and the first-time land buyers. So if, for example, Madam Speaker, you have a 4.2% interest loan, government will step in to lower your interest rate to 3.2% and will continue making those payments for a period of 3 years. Madam Speaker, there are a number of financial hurdles in realizing land and home ownership that we are helping Fijian families overcome. We have some Fijians who are currently living on Itauke land, for example, Madam Speaker, who don't have the funds to conduct the surveys necessary to transition their lease agreement into a fully fledged registered lease on Itauke land. We'll be covering the cost of those surveys with a new allocation of $750,000, speeding up the process towards regularization and helping give more Fijians the security, financial empowerment and peace of mind for long-term land ownership. It also, Madam Speaker, means the landowners will be able to demand the right market price for the land that will lease to them. There's many areas, for example, in Nasori that are in this situation. We moved forward the feasibility studies, Madam Speaker, in partnership with the International Finance Corporation on the mixed housing developments announced in last year's budget. We are looking at land availability, and we've held a number of discussions with potential investors on the most appropriate scale of the developments and how we can engage with large private sector partners to move this development forward and bring major mixed housing developments to Fiji. Soon, Madam Speaker, government will be signing off on a new agreement with FNPF that will pave the way for the fund to develop multi-family housing units in Fiji. These housing complexes will require no capital outlay from government. Instead, the developments will be made possible through a government commitment to directly subsidize rent for low-income tenants. This partnership will not only further diversify FNPF's investment portfolio upon completion, the multi-family complexes will immediately open a large inventory of affordable accommodation options, both for rental and sale in a high-demand market. This effectively kills two birds with one stone, Madam Speaker, by providing government-assisted housing to Fijian families while further bolstering FNPF's diversification to the benefit of its members. And with the announcement of the first home buyers expansion in this year's budget, market-driven demand will make mixed housing projects like this and will become more economically feasible for developers, opening the possibility for the private sector to follow in FNPF's footsteps. We are working with the Singaporean government, Madam Speaker, to maximize the value of government's housing assets in the West, particularly in Lautoka, to redesign accommodation in prime locations, to take better advantage of space and provide more creative and affordable housing options for civil servants. And we know in that area, Singapore has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we are keen to harness for the benefit of our development. Madam Speaker, we've continued with the government's grant assistance for Itauke land development, giving Fiji's land-owning communities the opportunity to better tap into the nation's prosperity by developing their land and reaping the financial benefits that come as a result. Specifically, these grants are designed to meet the cost of connecting and constructing utilities such as electricity, water, roads and other critical infrastructure on Itauke land that would otherwise be inaccessible to public. To date, Madam Speaker, 11 development plans in Fiji have received the green light from government to embark on the transformative journey. 2 in Tailevu, 1 is already completed in Tailevu out of the 2 in Nanronga, 1 in Tavua and 6 more in the province of Ba, with 1 development having been completed and another 3 nearing completion. We hope the success of these 11 developments will inspire many more land-owning units to follow in their footsteps, empowering many more Itauke along the way to become both asset-rich and cash-rich. Of course, as introduced this year, Madam Speaker, 80% of any of the royalties for any mineral resources mined on any land or seabed in Fiji go straight back to the resource owners.